Peace. What's happening, good people? Welcome to Riot Starter TV, live here on Black Power Media. So delighted, so happy to have you all join us. I know y'all probably tired of seeing my face. You know what I'm saying? We coming back and forth and back, but I feel like we have so much to do. It's part of organizing. It's part of us politicizing folks. There's so much misinformation out. There's so much miscommunication, and when you're dealing with social media, oftentimes you have folklore and you have folks that just straight up make shit up, and we get confused and we end up losing because propaganda is spread. And unfortunately, I don't think that many people realize that when they spread false propaganda, you actually aid your enemy. So that's why one of the efforts that I've been trying to make here at Riot Starter TV is to bring folks who have been involved in our people's liberation movement from all walks of life, because of the fact that there's, we get caught up in certain eras and we don't get we don't get the meat of it. First of all, before we get started, I want to definitely say support our initiative. The FTP movement has a new initiative. It's called Liberation Housing. You can find out about Liberation Housing by going to thenaturalfestival.com/liberation housing, thenaturalfestival.com/liberation housing. One of the efforts that we are making in this time is, we're trying to remember our veterans, remember those who serve us. I think that oftentimes, again, we look at things from a narrow lens, and we forget about political prisoners. We forget about our veterans, but we're quick to talk about reparations. And as many of you who've been following me over the years, you know that if I'm talking reparations, and if our organization's talking reparations, the first order reparations we're talking about is the freedom of our political prisoners. And if you're not talking about that, you really ain't saying jack shit. If you're just looking for a check, then I don't respect that. You know what I'm saying? So before we talk about anything else, if we're going to talk about power, we got to get our people back. So we say on that level, power to the people, and we are ready for revolution. So today, I wanted to bring on a return guest. You've seen her here before. She's no stranger. The last time she was here, it was well received, and folks have pretty much demanded that she come back. And we like to answer our people's demands. So we're bringing on the editor of and I'm gonna jack the title up because I have a few things in my head, but she did a book on Assata, and it was in 1980, and I'm gonna let her tell you the correct title, even though I have it. I don't have it with me right now, so just bear with me. But without further ado, I want to bring on my comrade, sister, and OG. And when we say OG, original gorilla, that is BB Angola. What's happening, BB? How you doing?
Hi, brother. Elijah, how are you?
Yes. Good to see you again.
Yes.
And glad you can come back and join us. Give us the correct title of the book. I'm embarrassed that I wanted to make sure I was saying the right thing.
Assata Speaks, basically.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say, but I know it was the second part. Assata Speaks, and the people speak to Assata, or
Assata Speaks, and the people speak on Assata.
No doubt. So I wanted to make sure, I didn't want to get bust in the head when I walk outside because I got the title wrong. So I know the last time you were here, you spoke about your relationship to Assata. You spoke about the upcoming project, the remix, so to speak, of Assata Speaks, and so we wanted to bring you back. So for the people who are new to you and missed that last episode, can you give us a brief bio of who you are and what qualified you to even write on Assata? Because nowadays folks just start writing, they don't have no credentials or anything. So tell us, what inspired you and what got you on that particular path.
Yes, well, great question. Well, when I graduated from college, literally the same month that I was graduating, um, Assata, Sundiata, and Zaid were on the New Jersey Turnpike, basically. And that was, of course, May of 73. And so it was between journalism school and law school. And this incident occurred. And I am from Middlesex County where the incident occurred. And as a result, I was very, very interested in like, what's happening to this sister? What just happened? So I immediately just started, got involved with the case. And to this day, I'm still saying uhuru to Assata and freedom to those that helped Assata. And I did my journalistic work and my legal work. I worked on the National Jury Project, which it was involved what's called the voir dire process of the case, which was jury selection. So I worked on the jury selection, and I also worked with the attorneys in various aspects of the case from a legal perspective. And I was an activist. So exactly when I got started, I was in my 20s, and
Excuse me 1 second. Before you go on, they said you're kind of muffled. Can you come a little closer to the mic? Or
okay, let's see. How about if I do this? Okay.
it's all good. It's a little slight audio, but I mean we can hear you. Just if we can get a little
better?
bit. Yes, a little muffled, but
A little muffled. Let's see if I can make it better. Let's see.
We're gonna roll with that. As long as you speak loud and clear, we'll figure it out. We'll work through whatever we got to work through.
Okay. Yes, so I got involved, and eventually, when she was liberated that next day, I started writing Assata Speaks. That's the one tape I was looking for. But yes, so I went from being, a college student. I was really just another college student like anybody else, and got involved in the movement on a heavier level when I saw what they were doing to a young sister named Joanne Chesamar, aka Assata Shakur from Middlesex County. And a lot of us were like saying, it's kind of like in today's idea in terms of all the people's names that we can name. Assata was just another one, and Sundiata and Zaid, that whole thing. And Kamal, Fred Hampton, and Fred Hampton, look at me, Fred Hilton, and Fred Hampton as well, Taruba and Seth and Noah, Albert Washington, the list goes on and on, Kwame Myers, so it's a matter of knowing what's going on. Nowadays, people say, are you woke? Stay woke. Right. So a lot of us woke up and realized like, things are not right. So I got involved.
Right on. So, and when you say you got involved, for the viewers, she's saying it all willy-nilly, like, oh, I heard the case and I just, I started writing Assata Speaks. There was time between that, and I had the opportunity to meet with BB and, and experience, Assata in a different way. So that's a beautiful thing. Talk about, you first meeting her, because of the fact that it's not like, it was just a campaign from afar. You actually visit and, you all wrote, so on and so forth. Can you speak about that a little bit?
Sure. Well, there was a beautiful sister. Matter of fact, I think I have, can you see her button? Let me see. Beautiful, beautiful sister here named Yuri Kochiyama.
Yes, long live Yuri Kochiyama.
Yes, and Yuri, I met Yuri on in one of the trials going on, and she was like, Bibi, come over here. Let me tell you, look what's going on. And Yuri was just phenomenal. She was tireless. I mean, just involved with everything. I mean, if you look up Yuri Kochiyama, you will learn so much about the movement. And she was just one of the I won't even just say one of them, but one of the main people that really connected everybody together and really turned people on to the movement and introduced people and explained what was going on in her own way. So I got involved with several cases through Yuri, and then eventually I got involved with Assata's case and started really seeing what was going on, and started offering my services. At the time, I was working for the New Jersey Division on Civil Rights, and also / EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Right out of college, I was an investigator for civil rights complaints. And so in between that, it kind of segued from being involved in the civil rights movement to seeing what was happening to Assata Shakur. And being from New Jersey, like I said, and then that was in New Brunswick. I was born in New Brunswick, and I'm from a funny little town called Metuchen, a little Jewish town, Metuchen, New Jersey. And Assata was shot on the New Jersey Turnpike, and Sunyata was left to run for his life, and Zaid was, of course, killed, and one of the troopers was killed. Assata had her hands up and was shot, and it was testified that she could not have done or killed anyone, and they found her guilty anyway in less than an hour's time with an all-white jury. And they completely said life in prison, the whole thing with Sunyata, the same things, that he was killed. And I just, was not happy with that verdict. Let me put it like that. It was a kangaroo court. It was a railroad job. And so I began working tirelessly to try to right the wrong that I clearly had seen that she had received by an all-white jury.
Right. And for folks who, again, when Assata's name is mentioned, it's almost folklorish. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like some type of, and that's just from being around different circles and the paraphernalia and the shirts, and you know what I mean? And then some people paint her as, I don't know, like she was, a mad woman with a gun or whatever the case is. Give us a human, put it in into a put her into a human form. You know what I mean? Who was this Assata Shakur that you got to know?
Well, as I said before, they had Assata painted as the mother hen of the movement. They had her, let's see if I could say, so, what does it say? 26-year term. They had her painted as bad as you can paint her. She was the mother hen. She was this, she was that. They gave her almost like she didn't have a name. They put her in a men's prison. They wouldn't even let her be in a woman's prison until her aunt, Evelyn Williams, complained several times until they had to finally get her extradited back into a women's prison. So I began seeing the different people working in her behalf. And so I went in to try to help her and started working on her case legally. And that's how I got involved. I started working on it legally, started visiting her, seeing wherever she would go. I would make sure I'd follow her and get visits, and started doing flyers on her behalf with the National Committee for Defense of Political Prisoners and other organizations and things. So I began collecting. I'm sure I'll find it while I'm sitting here, but I have a tape of her on the radio and the TV when it was like breaking news, boom. And Joanne Chesimard just escapes. And so you got to hear this actual live tape from 1979, actual, actual radio announcement and things like that. So what I wanted to do, I'm currently, finally, it's about to be in print. It's coming, everyone. And what I'd like to do, rather than me try to speak for Assata, I'd like you to hear some of Assata herself in her own words from 1979. Of course, she was liberated November 2nd, 1979. And I have here, I'm in the process of putting some of these things on a thumb drive, but I'd like you to hear some of Assata's own words. And last time I was on Kalanji, I read one of her poems, part read and part I kind of memorized it, called
Right.
"Carry It On." It's formally known. It's called the Tradition. And without further ado, if you don't mind,
Hey,
I'd like you.
you riding shotgun. Matter of fact, you driving, I'm riding shotgun today. We got to take over here, BB Angola. The first time we allowed anybody to take over Riot Started TV, and I'm on the board if y'all cool with that. So yes, let's get it popping.
All right, this is November. Let me play this. Yeah. Let me play this first. This is, I'll do a poem first. It's called The Tradition, and it's from 1979. And this is from May 2nd. This is before she was liberated. And then I'm going to play something to you of her being liberated. So this tape that you're going to hear, that's being converted right now, she first give you the backdrop. She's giving a roll call of various freedom fighters first, as you will hear, and then she goes into her poem. So let me just play this for your viewers and listeners so they can hear for themselves.
No doubt. Y'all getting some exclusive heat right now. Don't try to bite it. Don't try to come edit nothing out. You know what I mean? Because we will find you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes. Riot Started TV. We have BB Angola. Let's go. Assata Shakur.
Joseph Sinclair, Mark Clark, Frank Heavy Field, Fannie Lou Hamer, Fred Hampton, Bobby Hutton, George Jackson, Jonathan Jackson, Patrice Lumumba, Changa Olubala, Akuyan Olubala, Kimu Olubala, Rima Olubala, Sandra Pratt, Gabriel Prosser, Harold Russell, El-Haj Malik Shabazz, Zayd Malik Shakur, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, Nat Turner, David Walker, Denmark Vesey, and to Black people throughout history who have given their lives to the struggle for freedom. This poem is called The Tradition. Carry it on now, carry it on. Carry it on now, carry it on. Carry on the tradition. There were Black people since the childhood of time who carried it on. In Ghana and Mali and Timbuktu, we carried on the tradition. We hid in the bush when the slave hunters came, holding spears, and when the moment was right, leaped out and land for the lifeblood of would-be masters. We carried it on slave ships, hurling ourselves into oceans, slitting the throats of our captors. We took their whips and their ships. Blood flowed into the Atlantic. and it wasn't all ours, we carried it on. Said Missy, arsenic, apple pie, stole the axes from the shed, went and chopped off Master's head. We ran, we fought, we organized the railroad and underground. We carried it on. In newspapers and meetings, in arguments and street fights, we carried it on. In tales told to children, in chants and cantatas, in poems and blues songs and saxophone screams, we carried it on. In classrooms, in churches, in courtrooms, in prisons, in barracks and basements, we carried it on. On soapboxes and picket lines, welfare lines, unemployment lines, our lives on the line, we carried it on. On cold Missouri midnights, pitting shotguns against lynch mobs, on burning Brooklyn streets, pitting rocks against rifles, we carried it on. Against water hoses and bulldogs, against nightsticks and bullets, against tanks and tear gas, needles and nooses, bombs and birth control, we carried it on. In Selma and San Juan, Mozambique, Mississippi, in Brazil and in Boston, we carried it on. Through the lies and the sellouts, the mistakes and the madness, through pain and hunger and frustration, we carried it on. Carried on the tradition, carried a strong tradition, carried a proud tradition, carried a black tradition, carried it on. Pass it down to the children, pass it down, carry it on. Carry it on now, carry it on to freedom. Behold, sisters and brothers, my spirit reaches out to you. 6 years ago, Sundiata Zaid Akola, a strong, sensitive, brilliant black brother, was somewhere in New Jersey woods running for his life.
I'm gonna continue, if that's okay.
Hey, let's rock it. This is for folks who are just tuning in. This is Assata Shakur. And what year was that from?
This is May 1979.
May 1979. This is the year she was liberated.
Right.
Yeah, maybe about 6 months or so prior, or
Yes.
close to it. Yeah.
This was at a
Clinton Correctional, or
this was just a program that was done, on the anniversary of like Malcolm,
okay.
And so she sent out this tape with the poem, and then with also a backdrop of what was going on. So I'll just keep going. You can hear a little bit more.
Hey, we here. We live and direct. I'm sure audience, y'all cool with that? Remixes, Africans in the building. Y'all cool with hearing more Assata, or y'all heard enough? They cool with it. Let's go.
Okay.
Freezing cold, and there they was standing on the corner selling panther paper. I told my friend he had to be crazy. We were feeling good, and we knew how cold he had to be. So we bought up all his papers and gave them out to passerbys on the street. I don't remember what we said to each other, but they spoke so kindly, with such sincerity and dignity, that I rode on thinking about him. And in some way, that encounter changed my life. What had impressed me so much about Zaid was his dedication, his complete and absolute commitment to struggling for the liberation of black people. Zaid knew who he was. He knew he was an African in a hostile country. He knew he was a slave. He knew he had to fight to stay alive. He knew he had to fight to be free. It sounds like a cliche to say we're still slaves, but what else can we be when we're chained by poverty, chained by propaganda, chained by drugs, chained by alcohol, chained by prisons, chained by bullets flying through our children's heads? What else can we be when the FBI is standing there, waiting to shoot down anyone who fights for freedom? Zaid reminded me of a prophet, a messenger. He could see it all coming. He could see the walls closing in and the veins growing tighter. And he knew that even the bones would dry up. He knew that we would have no choice but to fight for our liberation. And he knew that that fight had to be waged on every level imaginable. These are serious times, sisters and brothers. The unemployment rate is higher than it was 25 years ago. The Backy decision is not that far off from the Dred Scott decision. Hundreds of thousands of prison cells are being planned or built. Who are they for? The Ku Klux Klan is riding rampant, burning crosses, attacking black people. Tupelo is not that far from 125th Street. What would you do if the Klan came to your house? Would you be ready? In the late 1960s and the early 70s, this government, through its COINTEL program, set its sights on destroying black leaders and black organizations. In the late 1970s, the government broadened its scope. Hundreds of racist vigilante groups have surfaced all over America, many with government-licensed machine guns and large numbers of police within their ranks. This government is waging an all-out campaign to brainwash the people. Hollywood has made movie after movie idolizing vigilantes. Disco songs tell us to join the Navy. Police shows bombard our televisions. The Right to Life Party, Anita Bryant, even the clothes they try to get us to buy are reactionary. What black person with a sane mind wants to go back to the 40s? There are no good old days for black people in America. These are serious times, and we've got to take a serious look at what is happening to us. Adolf Hitler killed 6 million Jews because they didn't believe it could happen to them. America is capable of anything. This is the time for us to fight for human rights. This is the time for us to fight for justice. This is the time for us to fight against the prison system, against the welfare system, against the whole United States system of capitalism, imperialism, and oppression.
Now, I can go on right there.
Hey, we cool with however you roll.
What's different from what she's saying right now to today?
Nothing but
You see what's going on now from the former administration to the present administration.
yes.
I'm stopping because there are several tapes I want to go through.
No, that's cool in the game. That's cool in the game. We are definitely blessed, honored, and I would say happy, for lack of better words, to that you are sharing. And for folks who are, when you talk about the audio quality and all of that, these are original tapes. This is, this ain't, it's not a CD. It's not a it's not digital. This is audio cassettes, and so you're gonna definitely have to adjust your ears, and it's a beautiful thing. Definitely. I mean, and then her poetry. I mean, everything, her even speaking sounds poetic. Can you give us a backdrop of how she went about? Because you told me before off air, but how did she go about recording in prison? How did that take place? What was some of the?
Well,
or we want to not share that part.
I have some tapes of hers. A tape I'll play in a minute. Like I said, there's a little vignettes of each one, and you're going to hear some. Let me see. How can I say this? When you hear about last week, I don't know if people are aware in terms of what she just said. Under the Biden administration, for example,
right.
They're passing out crack pipes now. Right. Did you see that in the news?
Yes.
Yes, they're passing out crack pipes to supposedly stop the spread of COVID-19 by sharing pipes. And now you can get a crack pipe. She's talking about Hitler. She's talking about the administration, looking at Trump, looking at all these administrations, looking at the Republicans. If you look, now this is 1979, this is 2022, and there's not much difference, as you can hear. That's just, if you take away that date she's saying and just be in the present moment, you can drop in different names. When she drops names down, you can drop in different names and it'll be as relevant as anything. So I'd like to just play a little bit more.
Yes, go ahead, run it.
Now
Sounds good.
this is this tape here. Oh, here it is. Found it. This is on the other side, the one I was looking for. This is a double side. See, back in the day, you had to, like, you know, on a tape recorder, it'd be like, oh, number 675. You zzz, go back to 675 and start the tape right there. In this case, we didn't have that. So this is, I'm going to actually play you the TV and the radio recording the minute she's freed. And also, this is November 5th, 1979. Now, she escaped November 2nd. So 3 days after she escaped, this recorded message was over the airwaves, and they were looking left and right like, how can this be? How can this be? And she's recording like exactly what's going on. So let me just play a little bit of this. This is a UN, United Nations. This was at the United Nations rally. I'm also going to play something from Assata Shakur, Tupac's mom. This is at Columbia University. But this is at the UN. We had a rally there 3 days after she was liberated. And I have this queued up, so listen to this, and then I'll play for you the escape itself. Here we go.
Uhuru, sisters and brothers, revolutionary greetings. November 1979, and crosses burn the face of America. November 1979, and hundreds of Ku Klux Klan march all over the country, carrying clubs and chains and machine guns. 1979, and black families are firebombed. 1979, and over 40% of black youth are unemployed. 1979, and a white policeman shoots a handcuffed black man in the head and is acquitted. 1979, and 5 policemen shoot a Puerto Rican man armed only with a pair of scissors 24 times. 1979, and Philadelphia, the 4th largest city in the country, is sued by the Justice Department for systematically condoning and encouraging widespread police brutality, especially against blacks and Puerto Ricans. We are on the threshold of the 80s, entering into a new decade, and we have got to take a look and see what America has in store for us. This country is on the decline. The sun is setting on the American empire. Because of liberation movements around the world, the sources of cheap labor and stolen raw materials are rapidly drying up. America is a vampire experiencing a blood shortage for the first time. The national trade deficit is about $30 billion a year. The Joint Economic Committee of Congress announced in August that the standard of living of the average American would be drastically reduced in the 1980s. Blacks and Hispanics, the report said, would be hit the hardest. Now, what, I ask you, can be harder than drastic? Unemployment, according to the report, would remain at 7% or higher. The committee came to the conclusion that the labor force had to be dramatically reduced in order to minimize the problem. What does that mean? Reduce the labor force dramatically. What does that mean? In a country that has had a history of using racism to perpetuate capitalism and oppression, who is going to be the scapegoat? In a country that has historically used Blacks, Hispanics, Orientals, and Native Americans as scapegoats, what do Black and third world people have to look forward to in the 80s? And what does all this have to do with political prisoners and the prison movement? Every Black leader in this country with the potential of being the Black Messiah has gone to prison. Even Black leaders without the potential of being the Black Messiah have gone to prison. Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and countless others who spoke out for human rights went to prison. What does that tell us? Out of the 400,000 people in U.S. prisons, 300,000 are Black. 275,000 prison cells are being built or in the planning stages. And every state in this country is trying to implement or reinstate the death penalty. What does that mean? I've been in prison 6.5 years, and I can feel what's coming in the air. Prisons are becoming more brutal and repressive. Behavior modification programs are booming. People are receiving longer sentences with fewer chances of being paroled. 13-year-old children are being sentenced to life in prison. The government has stepped up its musical jail policy, shipping prisoners all over the country away from their lawyers, from their families, and from their communities. Sundiata Acoli has been transferred 3 times in the last 2 months. He's been transferred. First, they transferred him from Trenton Prison in New Jersey. And from Trenton, he went to Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. And from Lewisburg, he went to Leavenworth, Kansas. And from Leavenworth, he was just shipped to Marion, Illinois. And all this is under the Interstate Compact Agreement. And Sundiata has never been convicted of a federal crime, but Lewisburg and Leavenworth and Marion are federal prisons. Under the Interstate Compact Agreement, it is possible for any prisoner in the United States to be transferred anywhere in the United States. And that prisoner has no say-so in the matter. His lawyer doesn't have any say-so in the matter. His family doesn't have any say-so in the matter. But what will happen as more and more prisoners are transferred from prison to prison to prison, soon their families won't be able to keep contact with them. They won't know where they are. And that'll make them easier and easier and easier to kill and to brutalize. Under the same Interstate Compact Agreement, I was shipped to maximum security unit at Alderson, West Virginia, and I stayed there until that unit was closed, and then I was shipped back to Clinton Institution for Women. Here at Clinton, 2 women have died in the last 2 months under suspicious circumstances. The prisons of America are rapidly becoming replicas of Nazi or South African concentration camps. And with the reinstitution of the death penalty, prisons will shortly become extermination camps. I know I'm not painting a pretty picture, but this is not a pretty world. And we can't make it pretty by sticking our heads in the sand. America has been committing genocide against poor, Black, and third world people for hundreds of years. And in recent years, racism and repression in this country has been accelerated. And if we don't wake up to what's going on, we might find ourselves victims of a second Holocaust here. We already know what we're fighting against. Now we've got to determine and decide among ourselves what we are fighting for. How can 25 or 30 million Black people in America win our liberation? How can we win? Marcus Garvey, he had a dream. And his dream was that we go back to Africa. Martin Luther King had his dream, and his dream was that we integrate into American society. And I don't think that dream is a reality. American society has told us time and time again that they don't want us. And now, looking at American society, looking at the capitalist, racist system, I don't want to integrate into America. America is a dying country anyway. Malcolm X had his dream, and his dream was land, nationhood. And his dream has become my dream. When I would hear the words nationhood and land, and I would listen to Malcolm's speeches before, I'd say yeah to myself, but where? And then they would talk about 5 states down south, but that, it didn't seem real. I said, well, shoot, we go move down there and they'll drop a bomb on us, kill us. But they dropping bombs and they killing us right now. And there's another side to that. Once people start struggling for land, start struggling for sovereignty, start struggling for nationhood, then the whole world can become part of that fight and can take up and say, look what you're doing. You're killing those people. You're making genocide. Those people want a homeland. America doesn't have any win internationally talking about we don't have a right to have our homeland. They've oppressed us for 500, 400 years. They haven't let us live in America. They haven't let us be citizens. They haven't let us have justice, equality, and we can prove it. So if they don't,
So now, that's part of her. This is 3 days after she was liberated, and now all of a sudden, this is a news break of her escaping. Liberation for Assata. Yay!
Y'all heard that, right? So this is 43 years ago.
5 million or 30 million Black people in America.
Maybe I missed the
Are you saying that we can't win? We are 26 million, 30 million people. We're the second largest aggregation of Blacks within the world, a nation that borders on the face of this globe. If we were a nation, we'd be the 26th largest nation, and there would be 154 nations in the world that would be smaller than Black America. Of the 56 nations in Africa, only 2 would be bigger than Black America, Egypt and Nigeria. We have the technology to start a nation. And if we don't have it right now, we can soon begin to get that technology once we understand what our purpose is and our goal and our direction. There are 7,000 Black physicians in America, 4,000 lawyers, about 4,000 Black people in law schools, 3,000 dentists, tens of thousands of academics and hundreds of thousands of public school teachers. We have the natural resources to build a nation. I have come through the struggle, and I've been in the struggle for a little while. And I'm tired of everybody else's dream. I want my own. And nobody's going to tell me which way I have to go to be a free Black woman on this earth. We've got to stop having a minority mentality. White people might be the majority in America, but we're the majority in the world. And when people start talking about, well, this is impossible, and it's impossible for us to have a Black nation. Well, in that case, was Israel impossible? Was South Vietnam impossible? South Korea? These nations came about as a result of a split. And if it's possible in Israel, it's possible here. And if the Palestine Liberation Organization can go up in front of the UN and talk about their right to land, and the Black Liberation Organization can go before the UN too. We cannot afford to depend on the white left. The white left comprises a tiny portion of white America. And they're so factionalized to the point where they're just almost totally ineffective. There's an old joke about you put two people on the right left in a room and you sit them in front of a clock and they'll get into an argument about what time it is. That seems like a joke to a lot of people, but it's true. They are so factionalized, so they argue about everything. And their arrogance and white supremacist arrogance, I can't think of another word, leads them to believe that they are the only ones in the world that have that right answer. They are the only ones that can lead the poor and oppressed people to liberation, and that's just not true. We couldn't depend on the white left in the 30s. We couldn't depend on the white left in the 50s. What in the world would make us think that we can depend on the white left now? I'm not saying that we should work with white people on whatever level that we want to and that suits our interests. But we can't just keep our heads in the sun, and we can't build our movement dependent on the white left. We've got to build our own movement, and our struggle has got to be able to stand. If the white left pulls out and the white liberals pull out and whatever, if we have to stay on our own 2 feet by ourselves, that's how we've got to build our foundation. That's how we've got to build our movement. We've got to build a strong human rights movement. We've got to build a strong prison movement. We've got to build a strong Black liberation movement. And we've got to struggle for liberation. Free all political prisoners, free Leonard Peltier, Sundiata Acoli, Rochelle McGee, Ben Chavis, George Merritt, Gary Tyler, Geronimo Pratt, Desi Woods, the RNA 11, and the BLA 25. We must be free. Assata Shakur, political prisoner, Clinton, New Jersey.
I want to point out real quick. First of all, the obvious that was yeah, that was fire. That's number one. But secondly, for the viewers, you must understand that there was no Google. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't rapping off of no YouTube clips. She didn't Google stats. You know what I mean? This is study. This is research. This is experience. You know what I'm saying? So that alone speaks volumes, because it's easy to Google some shit, some stats, and say, okay, boom, there's X amount of people, so on and so forth. But to come with that while you are behind enemy lines, while you are being hunted, and still talking about freeing political prisoners, that right there is what it's all about. She wasn't arguing about who gonna get reparations. She wasn't arguing about, you know, who's Black and who's not. You know what I'm saying? She took it to another level. So definitely, you know, appreciate that, BB. That was definitely I mean,
It's nothing like hearing her in her own words, speaking
Yes.
for herself. And that's why I love the idea of saying, you know what, let me let you hear her saying it. So it's on the other side of this. I had a backdrop uh, of the you know how, what is it, CNN? What does that stand for? Constant negative news or something
Yeah,
like that?
that program. Yes.
You know, or what is that? The NBA National, nothing but Africans or something, or
Yeah,
basketball
yeah,
group or
yeah, yeah,
whatever. But
yeah.
yeah, so this is now the tape. I hope I have this queued up right. I'm gonna flip it over on. Let me see something on the radio and TV.
Y'all getting a lot today, man. I don't know, man. If I'm not sure. I feel like we've been giving them too much. I'm not talking about on the Assata. I don't know. We gave y'all we had Abiodun Oyewole from the Last Poets on the morning show yesterday. So you now got poetry from the Last Poets and Assata within 24 hours or a little bit over. So I don't know, man. I ain't feeling the love. I don't know.
You know, listening to her voice after them calling her the mother hen and all
Right.
this other stuff, it's almost like it's a shot in the arm and refreshing to hear this young, beautiful sister in her 20s
That's right.
dropping it like this.
Yes, in her 20s.
You know, for the love of her people, you know. Let me see if I got this queued up right. It's let me see something.
Y'all getting cassette play. Come on, man. What show Doping and Riot started TV?
It'll be a thumb drive next time.
It's all good. We just want them to know where the classic come from right here. You know what I'm saying? You just want to know where the classic come from. That's it.
So in the media, you know, this next tape, I'm running that back. I did find it. I knew, you see, back then you had to take the tapes and keep them as much as you can and save it and then put this. I was and I'm just getting now a converter, and so I've talked, you know, so hopefully the book, I can give you a date. Last time I couldn't. We are now shooting for April 5th. That is
April 5th.
okay. April 5th.
Okay.
Let me see if this yes.
And for the record, there will be a reading. If it's dropping on April 5th, the reading would be live here within the week of that. The first reading going to be right here on Riot Star TV. Is that right, BB, or should I just cut this thing off right now?
Absolutely.
All right, I just want to make sure. Just want to make sure. We'll get no love over here, man. Hey, man, you know what we do around here. You know what I'm saying?
The new version has people like Marva, Berry,
Yes.
Cleo, Jackson. Hopefully, I can get Daruba is doing an intro.
Okay.
Pam Hanna, known as Akila. Who else? Oh, I believe our own host, our guest right here. I think Kalanji's doing a little piece for us.
What? Hold up. Can you say that one more time? I don't think they heard you.
I think Kalanji's doing a little piece for us here, you know.
Y'all better act like y'all know. I'm not even. I'm about to retire. They ain't appreciating it. I'm about to do the Guild Noble. But anyway, yes, it is an absolute honor, and we're looking forward to pushing it. April 5th. That sounds like a powerful date. And hey, man, it's a beautiful thing. We definitely appreciate you. You're killing the game right now, and we're gonna give you some more time. Usually, I give folks like an hour, but we ain't giving you no hour. We're gonna keep it rolling. So let's go.
This is the sister. It's not even me. It's straight out. You know, we keep a person. We keep a person relevant. We keep a person. We say their name. Assata. That's why in the back of my living room, can you see that? See that?
Yes.
House, I make sure, Assata is welcome here.
That's right. That's right.
This is why we used to have signs that had that all over, and as we now can see how they paint pictures of making the enemy look like a friend and the friend look like an enemy. I mean, they paint pictures of us being, they just demonize us. And by the time you break it all down, you say, wow, they were innocent. Shooting you while you sleep. Say, oh, no, not sorry. And so that is why we say there will always be a Black Liberation Organization, as she called it, or a Black Liberation Army. Look what a word can do from army to organization. Call it what you will. You have the Jewish Defense League, the word defense. So that's a euphemism, but, they say we're the Jewish Defense League, and, well, this is the Black Liberation Army Defense League. The Black Liberation Army. And there will always be a Black Liberation Army until every Black man, woman, and child, and baby is free. Say it again. There will always be a Black Liberation Army until every Black man, woman, child, and baby is free.
That's right.
I don't care what name you call it, we will exist. You can't kill. You kill revolutionary, but you cannot kill the revolution. That's right. It's not just rhetoric by Fred Hampton. It's like, this is real. This is why the generation after generation, call it by any other name, whether they realize it or not, they are the Black Liberation Army. They are the Black Liberation Organization. A movement was started. Somebody dared to get out there and say, enough, and risk their life. Assata didn't want to leave her daughter. Kamal, Fred Hilton, didn't want to leave his daughters. He's got two. Sundiata was from that, was a Nassau, obviously brilliant man, and on and on and on. Noah, other people are like, oh, well, I think I'll just get off and leave my family. These are, freedom fighters. And those of us with, again, I talk about, having my degrees and things, I can't even pretend that I'm not on the shoulders of other people.
True indeed.
Deruba, others, just you can't pretend. Twyman Myers, you can't pretend. BJ, Safia, you can't pretend you're not on their shoulders because they sacrificed. And so I know I would never have gotten into a school if the system had not been broken. So and so it's our duty, once my personal chain was broken, it's my duty to break other chains. So just, I might have a little house and a little car or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever. I might have a couple of dollars in the bank or whatever. I had a brother say to me, what kind of revolutionary drives nice cars, BB? And I'm saying, wow, brother. So was the struggle to be poor and broke? Right. Is that what he said to me, like I said to you last time. And so we got it twisted. If we think I'm supposed to have roaches crawling around and saying, I wish Assata was free. Some of them like, no, it's because of Assata, it's because of Sundiata, it's because of Deruba, it's because of Zaid, it's because of Fred Hilton, it's because of Noah, it's because of so many other, the whole Africa tribe out of Philadelphia, it's because of Mario Bedelli, put
Jamil, right?
Republic of New Africa concepts out.
Right on.
And here I am in the South now. I lived in Hawaii before I lived here. Before that, I lived in California. And before that, I lived in where did I live? I lived in New Jersey. So to have the freedom to move around and to have the freedom to do things, this wasn't always free. Black kids don't want to. A lot of people don't want to be in the South because they have the memory is so strong about what they did to us. Was so strong that the last thing we want to see is the South, let alone Africa. And to tell you the truth, this week I was getting some papers together about dual citizenship in Ghana today. This week, to tell you the truth, because Ghana is one of the few countries that does allow, dual citizenship. And so a lot of people don't want to even think about that. But I'm saying they've got us so terrorized and so scared to even think about doing something, people think, don't go on there, don't go on Kalanji's show. Oh my gosh, if you mention Assata's name, something could happen. I'm like saying, well, so do you just drop it and say, sister, you out there on your own, or brother, you out there on your own?
Listen, Hey man, something can happen to all of us, and something will happen to all of us because we all born and we all gonna die. But I want to shout out Kamal Siddiqui. You mentioned him earlier, who is the father of Assata's daughter and also Pam Hanna's daughter. That's Sise and
Kakuya.
Kikuya. Yeah. So his birthday, his born date is this Saturday, I believe. He should be, I'm thinking he's gonna be 69 years old. And he's a political prisoner. So we will in the body of this interview, we will send you, we will post his address so that you all can write him, but also Sundiata Kohli, who's been locked up for going on 50 years, I believe going on 49 years, or it's been 49 years, going on 50 years, I believe later next year. But he just turned 86 years old. So here it is. Imagine you're talking about a political prisoner who is 86 years old and they're still deeming him a threat. I believe they gave him a 3-year hit recently, saying that he would have to before he can go up for parole again. So this is the type of beast that we're dealing with. So I want you all to know, I need you to know that we're not just on Riot Starter TV or on Black Power Media, intellectually masturbating. We're not here to just make you feel good or give you some feel good speeches from Assata and have you throw your black fists up and that's it. This is a call to action. This is the work that the people, you're not going to find anyone coming on Riot Starter TV that's not putting in work or hasn't put in work. I don't care how popular they are. I don't care who they know. They got to have some type of work. And that includes the artists. That includes the artists. If you see an artist on Riot Starter TV, you could best believe that they have a track record and they have footprints in the community. We don't play that shit. It's not just you got a degree and you know what I'm saying, you intellectual and that's it. We're not here for that. This is the wrong show. But anyway, you can go ahead and proceed, BB. I had to get that off my
No, teach. I guess I have to always reiterate that because many people are like, well, I got mine. I got my
right.
BMW, black man working, or whatever,
Right.
I mean, or I take my trips and this and that. And it's like, it doesn't end because you have your personal freedom. It doesn't end. As Toni Morrison said, from the bluest eye, it is our duty. It's not just each one teach one, but you have to continue this. This has to go on and on and on. Like Assata said in the poem, pass it down to the children, pass it down. This is a tradition that you don't just, last week, for example, I sent off to my nephew, Naeem, and my niece, was it my sister Regina's son, Nadir, Regina's son, and then Nadirdra, my sister Catherine's granddaughter. I sent them, and also what's my other little baby? I can't think of all the kids. There's so much. I'm from a family of 10. I've got 9 brothers and sisters, and I'm the 10th. I'm the youngest. So I have a huge, family. But I just sent off a bunch of books, not just Pocket for Corduroy or The Snowy Day by Ezra Jack Keats, which I love children's books. But I just sent off books to my to Naeem, Nadir. I just sent off books to them. It's a little story, so they could actually read about these things. To tell you the truth, I have a little coloring book out of Assata and a little book, a little children's book out of Assata that somebody's illustrating for me now that I didn't even tell you about that. That's coming out as well, this coloring book and children's book. And it's so sweet. Wait till you see it. I'll show you that next time. But cool. We all say like a little shirt I was telling you about, like things like this.
Right.
We out. Harriet Tubman. Well, which I love. It's like it's not just something that we did back then and from 18. Something, it's right now. And so it's so important that we keep these stories alive. Don't just let them fade. Because trust me, they're not letting things just fade, you know. And so we love to make sure, you know, I have some people staying with me now. And the little girl, I shouldn't say a little girl. She's not a little girl, but she is to me. But she was like, oh, I just love knowing about things, because she's got small children. Because I love knowing, so I can pass things down. A sister named Melinda, and she's like, I love being able to tell my children. And that's the whole concept of passing it down, not like it's something only from the 1800s. This is current. If you have breath to breathe, we have a duty to pass it down. So let me play this next thing. If I can, let me just see. This is actually I was on the phone, and all of a sudden I got a phone call, and I think I gave you the backdrop of this. I was in the World Trade Center when it existed, and literally was coming down the escalator. And as I'm coming down the escalator, the guy goes, you know, right in the middle of coming down the escalator, the guy goes like this: extra, extra, read all about it, read all about it. Test of my mistakes. I'm like, what? Extra, extra. I mean, it was, I almost hopped on the side of the escalator and slid down 102 stories.
Don't try that these days, BB. That might not be a good idea.
And so I was on the phone, and while I was on the phone, I kept getting all these phone calls. So let me, I just dropped it. Oh, Lord. Okay, let me see, right here. Let me see if I can hear you can hear if you listen closely. It wasn't CNN, constant negative news. It was another station back then. And it wasn't KPFK, which was cool, but let me see. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Just give me 2 seconds.
It's all good. Don't damage the good stuff. You know, messing with us. You know, let's make sure that we're able to, you know, preserve this. You know, so definitely, you know.
I'm gonna put these things on a thumb drive so that they are accessible to people that want to hear them. Oh, excuse me, I keep dropping stuff. Excuse me there. Let me see. Otherwise, while I'm chewing this up, let me see. Let's see.
Yes. So again, we're checking out Riot Starter TV. This is Black Power Media. If it's your first time stopping through, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Become a member if you really feeling funky. Support our Patreon. Tomorrow will be our 1-year anniversary as far as Black Power Media. So make sure you check us out tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Also tomorrow Remix Morning Show, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. EST. And on Friday, we will have a discussion with Dr. Greg Carr and Dr. Jared Ball and myself Friday at 8 p.m. on Riot Starter TV. So stay tuned. We're going to keep it moving just like that.
What I'm going to do while I'm doing that, I'm going to play something from another. It's okay to put another radio station. I mean, it's you, but this is another.
It's all good. We good. Long as they're not corporate media, we good.
This is KPFK.
We mess with KPFK. I just did an interview with them. We can rock with them.
Oh, just a minute. I didn't mean to put James Brown in there, but
we like James.
Maybe I'm trying to go past this part.
You're listening to KPFK 90.7 FM, Los Angeles. Stay tuned for Family Tree, which you are listening to now. Come on, you're on.
Thank you very much, Jan. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Family Tree from a New African Perspective. I'd like to say, free the land. We have a very special program for you tonight. Although all of our programs are special, this one is particularly important because it is a recognition, even a commemoration, if you will, of a very significant event in the history of the New African Independence Movement and the Black liberation struggle inside North America. It involves a very important individual, a sister by the name of Assata Shakur. 10 years ago, on November 2nd, 1979, members of the Black Liberation Army, a revolutionary underground fighting force of Africans in North America, went to Clinton State Prison in New Jersey and liberated Assata Shakur, a sister comrade who was a prisoner of war being held in the facility at that time. Tonight we are going to recognize the 10th anniversary of this event with a special program about Assata Shakur. We will have a reading of some of Assata's written statements and some of her poetry. We will have excerpts from a taped statement that Assata made in 1973 and a live interview with Sister Chinganji Akanyela, the local coordinator of the New African Peoples Organization's Los Angeles chapter, who has visited and interviewed Assata Shakur in Cuba, where she currently resides enjoying political asylum from the Cuban government. For those of you who are not really familiar with Assata Shakur, I want to tell you a little bit of background information on her before I go into the statement that I'm going to read by her. Assata, whose slave name is Joanne Chesimard, grew up in North Carolina under Jim Crow apartheid segregation. So at an early age, she came to understand America without the facade of quote-unquote democratic equality of opportunity. Eventually, she moved to New York City and continued her education. She was very disillusioned with Black life in this quote-unquote great city and ended up dropping out of high school. She worked for a while and then returned to school and got her GED and went on to college. It was during her time in college that her maturity as an understanding New African woman began to take shape. Again, she stopped going to school and this time she joined the Black Panther Party. As a member of the Black Panther Party, she taught African history, she taught art classes, she participated in the free breakfast program, she organized welfare mothers, set up health clinics, wrote political education lessons, and studied various ideologies and other people's struggles. After the Black Panthers were undermined by state repression under the FBI's counterintelligence program of the late 60s and early 1970s, Assata, like so many other above-ground activists at the time, was forced to join the underground Black liberation movement. It was at this time that she became a member of the Black Liberation Army. Her activities with this organization caused her to be known as its sole or principal guiding force. Assata was an active member of the BLA until 1973 when she was captured and nearly killed by state troopers in New Jersey. After a series of trials and a six and a half year incarceration, Assata was freed by the BLA. She and her daughter Kakuya currently reside in Cuba, where she has been granted political asylum by the Cuban government. She has published a number of poems and essays, and much has been written about her. But the most definitive work on this sister to date has been her autobiography, which is entitled Assata, which was published in 1988. What I want to do now is read some excerpts from a statement that Assata wrote on November 5th, 1979. It has to do with the UN Human Rights Campaign. Now, those of you who are not familiar with this should know that inside the New African Independence Movement, there was a movement to bring the case of New Africans in North America before the United Nations. If you remember, Malcolm X, near the end of his life, said that Black people would be justified in bringing the case their human rights abuses by the U.S. government before the United Nations. So this idea became a reality in 1979 when over 5,000 people had a march and demonstration that was organized by forces inside the new African independence movement that went to the United Nations and presented a case before that body. So at that time, Assata Shakur wrote a statement in support of this effort, and I want to read an excerpt from this. Every Black leader in this country with the potential of being a Black Messiah has gone to prison. Even Black leaders without the potential of being the Black Messiah have gone to prison.
We heard this.
Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and countless others who spoke out for human rights went to prison. What does that tell us? Out of the 400,000 people in, the United States prisons, 300,000 are Black. 275,000 prison cells are being built or are in the planning stages, and every state in this country is trying to implement or reinstate the death penalty. What does that mean? I've been in prison 6.5 years, and I can feel what's coming in the air. Prisons are becoming more brutal and repressive. Behavior modification programs are booming. People are receiving longer sentences with fewer chances of being paroled. 13-year-old children are being sentenced to life in prison. The government has stepped up its musical jail policy by shipping prisoners all over the country, away from their lawyers, from their families, and from their community. Sundiata Acoli has been transferred 3 times in the past 2 months. He's been transferred. First, they transferred him from Trenton State Prison in New Jersey, and from Trenton, he went to Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, and from Lewisburg, he went to Leavenworth, Kansas, and from Leavenworth, he was just shipped to Marion, Illinois. And all this is under the Interstate Compact Agreement. Now, Sundiata has never been convicted of a federal crime, but Lewisburg.
So we heard that, actually, but we heard her reading it herself. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sitting here on mute myself. I'm sitting here talking and saying nothing, but yeah, absolutely. Okay. So we heard it in her voice.
We heard that herself. So the last thing I wanted to leave you with was the actual I might have to make that the opening thing of it's right here. If I could just, if you give me just 2 seconds.
You good. Okay. Definitely.
Oh, I'm so sorry, everybody. This antiquated material, it's different. And
I don't think no one here is disappointed. You know what I'm saying? I don't think anyone checking it out is saddened by any of the situations. So definitely, it's definitely an honor and privilege to even, for you to even share the cassettes. I mean, that's awesome.
This let me see if I can have it right here. I might have to, I try to cue everything up, but this one, it's got 2 different things on it, and it's hard to cue up.
Nah, so, it's all good.
Yes. So this basically are the things that will be included in the book coming out shortly. And I'm going to try, I'm just trying to making sure if for people that might want to have an actual tape of that, it's so inspirational. I have some on Malcolm and different people. And right. You hear, the whole thing of demystifying the big bad wolf of Assata and making her a human being, a very sensitive sister, like your own sister or brother. And the way by the time they're finished, they just turn into someone else. That's right. So I can't get this one going because I can't find the exact spot on that, but I tried to get them all queued up because I did something on that.
It's all good.
That's what that I wanted you to hear it instead of me speaking to somebody else. Well, I have a tape of her. I heard her. This is from when actually the actual 1979 when it all really first happened, and her own words. And like I said, this was so beautiful because November 2nd, she escaped, and November 5th, this tape is out and it's being all over. And it was just a beautiful thing to witness. So it's one of our victories. So when people say things like, which is what made me asked to come on your show in the first place, when we were first talking, is that when people were saying, why talk about her? You know, there's more people involved than her. I don't even like the pronoun. But, you know, and of course there are many, this is not about just Assata, you know, but she is indicative and representative and symbolic and also a victory for us that we can all stick our chests out for, because you can be sure that, you know, we're not supposed to have any victories. And this is all without Google. This is all without social media at the time.
Oh, yeah.
This is, you know, this was all like people knowing what to do, how to do it, and say, okay, with all of those resources. And that's why when Assata says things like, well, somebody forgot to tell the Vietnamese, somebody forgot to tell, in today's terms, forgot to tell, you know, the Afghan people, well, how did they run people out? How did they run Big Bad America out? And somebody forgot to tell them. Somebody forgot to tell them that you're not supposed to be, you know, you ain't supposed to win. And so, and then here we are. In the belly of the beast, we're able to do what we did. And we need to recognize that and understand in unity, there's strength. And it does take a village. So, yes. So I can't get this one going, and that's one of the, you know, the first ones. I apologize.
When you do the reading, after April 5th,
that'll be. I promise you, that would be the first thing we play, and the backdrop, boom.
No doubt. We definitely appreciate you coming on board and giving us an update on the book, and also sharing these words from Assata herself, because of the fact that, like you said, it's a lot of times, you know, we can't hear Harriet Tubman's voice. You know what I'm saying? We can't hear Nat Turner's voice. So we make up in our head and we translate it the way we think that it may have sounded. But it's a beautiful thing to be able to hear Assata, because of the fact I know that some folks might have heard her on Common's CD, and you know, you might have caught her on, you know, a glimpse or whatever. But to just hear the casual speaking and the poetry and so on and so forth, that's a whole nother level. So, you know, on behalf of our audience, who I believe are grateful because of the fact they wouldn't be here checking us out, you know what I'm saying? We say salute and gratitude, and we're all looking forward to reading the book. And I'm about to finish my piece immediately because I don't want no smoke. You know what I mean? So definitely we're absolutely grateful. And you know, stay on the right side of the barricades. We will win.
Let me just add this one last thing. I will tell you, it's actually in 2 parts because the material is too much. I will tell you that. So if I'm somewhere in the world, wherever Assata might be, you know, we love you. We love her. We want her to know this. When you said that about Harriet Tubman, she lives. She's metamorphosed into Assata Shakur. You know, we collectively put our arms around her, and continued safety and spirit and love, and that you go from Harriet Tubman to present day Assata, and on and on and on, and so we will win.
Hey, well, BB, again, you know, like I said, you know, I know that for myself, just checking out, and I got to hear a whole lot more than this. So I'm just like, you know what I mean? I'm just, you know, it's like, it's melodic. You know what I mean? It's her voice is melodic and inspiring because of the fact that, like you said, here is a young woman who, for all practical purposes, was younger than many of us that are viewing this this broadcast. You're talking about someone in their 20s who can articulate and who can lay things down, and at the same time, she was a real sister, is a real sister, not just, someone spitting some theory, you know what I'm saying, but putting that theory into practice and, laying out the way it's supposed to, and pointing out the contradictions.
Exactly.
We don't like to point out the contradictions of others. We're always pointing out the contradictions of ourselves. You know what I'm saying? But I've been in many spaces where we'll be organizing and folks are quick to go to the white left for instruction. You know what I'm saying? And that would be some of the blackest cats you can come across. And you're like, yo, they we accept concessions, but we don't compromise our position. You know what I'm saying? As young chairman would say. So, again, we'll be talking to you soon. We'll definitely be having you back on for a three-peat and stay on top.
Right. As I told you I would do, even though I did it I gotta just say.
We out. We out like Harriet Tubman and Assata Shakur. Ready for revolution. Here we are. Checking out Riot Starter TV. This was BB Angola. I'm Kalonji Jamachanga, and I'm just noticing how my hat just tilted to the side to forward. I ain't noticed that, so my hat looking kind of crazy, but it's all good. I'm here. Stay tuned, man. Check us out tomorrow again. Remix Morning Show, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. Also, Riot Starter TV. We have Black Power Media 1-year anniversary again, 7 p.m. tomorrow. And on Friday, we have Dr. Greg Carr and Dr. Jared Ball. And we'll be discussing, whether or not the electoral politics is good for our people, amongst other things. Anyway, stay on point and stay ready for revolution. We out.